Hey everybody, it's John here. So as this channel grows a little bit, I want to periodically take breaks to talk about the deeper things in life. And I know this is probably coming way out of left field for most people who are used to seeing makers just build things, right? But I think it's important as this channel grows to stop and reflect on how far we've come and lessons we've learned along the way. Now, to be clear, during these videos, I'm not going to offer you some sort of productivity system or key to being happier as you try to balance your work and your personal life and things like that. I simply want to sit down and talk with you about a few things that I find to be particularly important for this current phase of my life. And so today, I specifically want to talk about the power of celebrating small wins in our lives. I am so happy to share that we recently crossed 1,000 subscribers on this channel. And to many people, that's not a big deal, right? We're constantly surrounded with, these mega creators that have millions of followers, millions of subscribers. The production quality is insane. They have the same equipment that they use in full-scale Hollywood productions. But I think many times that deters people from simply starting an idea. They think they need to match the production quality of these really skilled artists and creators, when in all reality, you simply need a good idea and a story to tell. So the history of this specific channel actually started a bunch of years back during the COVID-19 pandemic. I had this random idea that I could create a recyclable, reusable, custom fittable mask. This was when everyone was trying to come up with ideas about how they could design their own respirators and help people stay safe during the peak of the pandemic. So after posting this specific video, it was pretty amazing to see the response. Now, admittedly, the way I set up this video title and thumbnail was total clickbait, right? I said it was gonna be a 3-minute mask that you can make, right? And obviously it included the need for like a 3D printer and some specialized material. And so really, that was a little bit deceiving. And I kind of regret, phrasing it that way, because I don't think that was necessary. But what it did was get my first exposure to some real volume on this platform, on YouTube. Because after I launched the video, it garnered just over 100,000 views in a very short amount of time. So then after that happened, it was pretty amazing because, then I was like, oh my gosh, this is something I really enjoy doing. I really enjoy building fun projects and sharing them with people. So after that initial success, I said, you know what, maybe I'm gonna do this more frequently. And so I started to work on my second project, which was this little funny home security robot. All it was a Raspberry Pi, a camera, a few servos, and a little airsoft toy. The general premise being, this could be an interesting way to get people excited about things like computer vision and programming on Raspberry Pis and things like that. And so I created this video, which is still on the channel if you look back in the history. And it was funny because I was really proud of this little project. It was something that I thought was actually kind of a cool little demonstration, while not super impressive, of the power of just some simple engineering skills that anybody could pick up. So I put the video together and I published it. And again, it got a few thousand views and I was super excited about this. And I was so excited that I showed it to a close friend of mine who was in town for the weekend. And when I showed it to him, he just laughed at it. And immediately I kind of withdrew, right? And this was my first lesson in being anti-fragile with your own creative process and your creative vision. I was so fragile that I let one close friend who has my best interest in mind dissuade me from creating any more videos because he saw it and laughed at it. And I'm not blaming my friend for anything here, right? But at the same time, it just showed me that in order to be resilient, right, you need to be able to accept some blows from friends and strangers as you create your content. So fast forward a bunch of years and a few moves later and a pandemic later and a marriage later, and our first son was born. And this was, as most parents say, one of the happiest times of my life, right? And as my son got older, I started to notice that I didn't necessarily tend to agree with a lot of popular content that was being shared with the onset of the pattern like infinite scrolling and TikTok and everything like that. And to be clear, I'm not trying to put down any content creators here. It just simply seemed like a lot of the same chasing trends and viral fads, and as a lot of people call slop now, right? It's a lot of what we get in our feeds. And so I found myself complaining. I was complaining to my wife saying, oh my gosh, like there's just no quality content online anymore. And not suggesting that this is the highest quality content either, but it made me realize that I was just complaining about the problem and I wasn't offering any valid solutions. So fast forward another year and we purchased our house here, which came complete with this backyard building, this garage. And that immediately sparked my inspiration to say, this might be a time to restart this idea around content creation. Let's start by renovating this backyard garage into something that inspires me every day. So I restarted creating this content, starting with the subject of simply renovating this back garage. And I cannot tell you, even though these videos do not have millions of views, they don't even have hundreds of thousands of views, that's fine. What was amazing is that it just showed me that people are yearning for interesting, well-made creative content. And to be clear, I'm just creating these on an iPhone with some DJI mics to pick up better audio. It's nothing special, a setup that most people might be able to afford. But after posting that first video, I had that light bulb go off again and I felt that fire light inside of me to say, I don't have any following on this platform, but I'm not gonna let that stop me. I'm not gonna let the lack of gear, the lack of know-how stop me from creating content that I would wanna see on this platform, that I would want my sons to see on this platform. So after reading so many kind pieces of feedback around the first initial videos, like the volume isn't high enough, like, hey, maybe think about using this angle instead of that angle, that's fine. It was all amazing feedback. And it just inspired me to keep going. So a bunch of hours later and a few projects later, we now find ourselves at this first major milestone, 1,000 subscribers, which is so exciting. And again, to be clear, on this platform, 1,000 subscribers, for many people is not something to get excited about. But this gets me to the point of this video, and the reminder that I want to share with you is that we need to celebrate the small wins more often. And this is something that we're particularly bad about here in the Midwest, where people want to be humble. They don't want to brag about their achievements. They don't want to admit about how much effort they put into something. And quite frankly, I kind of think it's bullcrap, right? Like, I kind of think that we need to be more outspoken about the passion and the effort that we put into these things we care deeply about to inspire other people. So one thing I'm going to commit to you, the person watching this video, is that I'm going to keep going. By doing this, by creating this content, this lights my fire. This gets me excited. And so if nothing else, I hope that this small, short video is just a reminder to you to not worry about celebrating the small wins. You have 5 subscribers, you have 10 subscribers, you have 1,000, 50,000, 1,000,000 subscribers. I don't care. Celebrate the small wins along the way because life is too short not to. Find that thing that gets you excited, right? Get off the couch and engage. Don't just passively consume content, but create things. And I'm not saying that you need to create videos like this. This just happens to be a passion of mine. That could be anything from drawing to music to building technology projects like I try to do, right? It could be whatever lights your fire, but you have to find that thing and you have to give yourself to it more than you are right now. Because what I've learned through this first major milestone on this platform is that the balance is absolutely everything. So if you take nothing else from this video, take this moment to think about the small wins in your life that you've achieved. Because I can say with pride, with only 1,000 subscribers, I am so excited about what's gonna come next for this channel, what we can build together, what we can collaborate on, how we can inspire people to build things in their own life and solve problems in your own life. So if you've been with me for the first few videos and provided some encouragement, thank you so much. And thank you to the people who provided constructive feedback as well, right? That is just as important. So with that in mind, I'm so excited to see what comes next for this channel. Thank you so much for hanging out for a little bit. I'll see you in the next one.